The PGA Tour just told its own players that 30 of them will be sent down every single year, and the man who designed this system has never played a round of professional golf in his life. This is not about tweaking the schedule. This is not about moving a tournament date. This is a two-tier relegation system, Track 1 and Track 2, straight out of the English Premier League, dropping into American professional golf in 2028. The PGA Tour's Player Advisory Council was briefed on the proposal just days ago. Track 1 holds 120 to 130 players. The top 90 survive. Everyone below that number gets sent down. No mid-season reprieve, no sponsor exemptions to save you. The rules are already written. Honestly, I think this is the most career-threatening restructuring professional golf has seen in 30 years, and the players most at risk have no idea what's coming for them. Is a relegation system the evolution professional golf needs, or the moment the PGA Tour stops being a meritocracy and starts being a machine? Drop it in the comments right now. And if you want every detail on what these rules actually say for players on the bubble, subscribe, because the fine print is where careers go to die.
Brian Rolapp became PGA Tour CEO in June of 2025. He came from the NFL. He came from a league with guaranteed revenue, franchise ownership, and a model where the product is the team, not the individual athlete. And he has been systematically re-engineering the PGA Tour in the NFL's image ever since. In March 2026, Rolapp told reporters the tour was building towards a merit-based system that leans into what makes professional golf so compelling: players earning their way to the top, with every event having great meaning. That sounds reasonable on paper. The details are something else entirely. This week at the Memorial Tournament, the full outline was finally briefed to the PGA Tour's 16-player Player Advisory Council. Here is what the pack was told. Track 1 will consist of 15 to 18 events plus the 4 major championships, fields of 120 to 130 players. The 4 majors and the Players' Championship remain separate. The plan is to reduce the FedEx Cup playoff to 2 events. A 36-hole cut returns to every event. And at the end of every season, the top 90 players and tour points stay in Track 1. Everyone outside that number is sent to Track 2, which replaces the Korn Ferry Tour as the secondary circuit. No sponsor exemptions into Track 1 mid-season. No promotions from Track 2 mid-season. And here is the part that will change careers forever. Track 1 players may be prohibited from entering Track 2 events. If you are above the cut line, you are locked into Track 1 and only Track 1. If you have a bad year, if you get hurt, if you lose form for 6 months, there is nowhere to go to rebuild quietly. You are simply waiting to fall. This is the system Rolapp wants operational by the 2028 season. The policy board has not voted yet, but the direction is set.
Jack Nicklaus is an 18-time major champion. He built the Memorial Tournament from nothing over 50 years and turned it into one of the most respected non-major events on the PGA Tour calendar. He is not someone who shoots at his own sport carelessly. At 87 years old, Nicklaus has earned the right to say exactly what he means. And this week at Muirfield Village, he said it. Asked about the PGA Tour's proposed schedule and restructuring plans, Nicklaus was blunt. "I don't want to comment on the tour's schedule because I'm not exactly in favor of what they're doing right now." Then he said more. He said tournaments are being bunched too much together, with too many big tournaments too close together. He called it a problem for the tour and said it is going to be a problem in the future. He wanted to know exactly what the plan was and said he intended to ask for a direct conversation with tour leadership. Now understand what Nicklaus is saying and what he is not saying. He is not anti-change. He is the man who moved the Memorial's own date to accommodate tour restructuring as recently as 2025. He has been a cooperative partner for decades. He did not come to that press conference looking for a fight. But Nicklaus built his tournament on the idea that events need identity, that a great tournament needs room to breathe, that you cannot stack marquee week after marquee week and expect fans to treat them all as meaningful. And Rolapp's Track 1 model, 15 to 18 events in roughly 6 months, is exactly the bunching that Nicklaus is warning against. You built an event over 50 years. You gave it a specific week, a specific feel, a specific reason for players to want to be there. You made concessions when the tour asked. You moved your date when the tour needed flexibility. And now the man running the tour is designing a 6-month sprint of elite events, stacked so tightly that fans will stop being able to tell them apart. Jack Nicklaus is not complaining. He is issuing a warning the tour needs to hear. Is Jack Nicklaus right that signature events lose their identity when they're bunched together? Or is a tightly packed elite calendar exactly what modern fans actually want? And does it matter if no one asks the players who carry those events? Drop it below. I read every single one.
Now here is where this story takes a turn that nobody in golf media has connected, and it should change the way you think about every single detail we just covered.
The Future Competition Committee, the group that has been designing the Track 1 and Track 2 system, briefing the PAC, and driving this entire restructuring proposal, was created by Brian Rowlap last August. Its membership includes Policy Board player directors Patrick Cantlay, Adam Scott, Camilo Villegas, Maverick McNeely, and Keith Mitchell. It also includes tour executives and investors. The chairman of that committee was Tiger Woods. And Tiger Woods announced on March 31st that he was stepping away from the chairmanship to work toward lasting recovery, following his arrest on suspicion of driving under the influence after a car crash near his home in South Florida. Now here's the part nobody is talking about. The most consequential structural reform in PGA Tour history, the proposal that will determine the career fate of 120-plus professional golfers starting in 2028, is being finalized and briefed to players right now, in the weeks following the departure of the player who was supposed to be its champion and its face. Tiger Woods was not just a committee chairman. He was the reason players were willing to trust the process. He was the credibility. He was the player-to-player assurance that this restructuring had someone at the table who actually understood what it felt like to protect a career, manage injury, and fight back from the edge of irrelevance. The PGA Tour has survived LIV Golf. It survived a sovereign wealth fund pouring billions into a rival circuit specifically designed to pull its best players away. It won that war because it held together. But the restructuring now happening is not an external attack. It is the tour rewriting its own contract with its players without the one player voice that was supposed to make that contract credible. Tiger stepped away. The committee kept moving. The PAC was briefed this week, the policy board votes this summer, and the players who will be most affected by Track 2 relegation, the ones outside the top 90, had a committee designing their fate led by a man who is no longer in the room. There is a question no one at tour headquarters will answer on the record. Who speaks for the players outside the top 90 now?
There is one player who has been quietly supportive of the restructuring direction, and it is a name that should give the tour real cover: Rory McIlroy. McIlroy has not publicly condemned the two-tier system. At the memorial this week, he acknowledged he would back himself to remain comfortably in Track 1 on a limited schedule. He has described himself as someone who will pick and choose his spots, and the expanded 120-player field gives him that flexibility. He is effectively endorsing the structure by operating comfortably within it. And when Rory McIlroy is at peace with a tour decision, that is genuine political cover for Brian Rowlap. McIlroy's credibility as a tour loyalist, maintained through 3 years of the LIV war at enormous personal cost, is real. But here is why even McIlroy's comfort cannot hold the line on what is coming. McIlroy is never going to be the 91st player on the tour points list. He never has to think about the relegation threshold. His relationship with this two-tier system is the relationship of a man who will always be safe inside the building looking out, never the one standing outside wondering whether the door will open. The players this system will actually break are not named Rory McIlroy. They are ranked 85th through 130th in the world. They are veterans, comeback stories, players one knee surgery away from the bubble, players who spent their careers building exactly the kind of track record this tour used to protect. If you were ranked 88th on the tour points list and coming off an injury season, would the two-tier system feel like meritocracy to you or a trap? And does the tour owe those players more than this? Drop it in the comments.
Here is the specific pressure point that makes the next 6 weeks critical. Rowlap himself said it publicly in March. We expect to make more meaningful progress by this summer, and following our June 22nd board meeting, I plan to host another press conference at the Travelers Championship, June 22nd. 18 days from now, the policy board convenes. Rowlap goes public with whatever they decide. The PAC briefing just happened. The players have just seen the full outline for the first time, and the June 22nd board meeting is the moment when this stops being a proposal and starts becoming a decision. Here is the number that should terrify every player outside the top 90. The proposed Track 2 sponsorship fee, the cost to host a Track 2 event, is between $12 million and $15 million. Sponsors are already pushing back. Golf Week reported this week that some, including Rocket Mortgage, are hesitant to commit at that price point for the quality of field they would receive on the secondary circuit. If Track 2 sponsors walk, the purses shrink. If the purses shrink, the players sent down are not just competing in a lesser circuit, they are competing for meaningfully less money, with no clear path back up until the following season. $12 to $15 million per event for a field that could not stay on Track 1. That is not a second chance. That is a financial penalty disguised as an opportunity. Imagine 12 years on tour, 4 wins, a career built through the qualifying school grind, through missed cuts, through late season injuries that cost you ranking points in the worst possible months. You clawed your way inside the top 100 in the world. You protected your card.
You rebuild twice. And then a man who came from the NFL tells you that next year, if your form dips for 6 months, you will be sent to a secondary circuit, prohibited from entering the events that might let you rebuild quietly, and left to fight your way back from a track that sponsors may not even be willing to fully fund. That is not meritocracy. Meritocracy is a system where the best players rise. This is a system where the best players are protected, and the next tier is exposed, with no safety net, no mid-season release valve, and no sponsor exemptions to break back in. This is not about the golf ball. This is not about field sizes. This is about whether Brian Rolapp is building the greatest version of the PGA Tour, or the most profitable version of a television product that happens to have a golf tour attached to it. One protects careers, the other protects the media rights deal through 2030. Right now, the media rights deal is winning. Is Brian Rolapp building the greatest version of the PGA Tour, or the most profitable one, regardless of which careers get sacrificed to get there? Drop your answer right now. I want to know exactly where you stand. June 22nd, that is the date. The policy board meets. Rolapp takes the podium at the Travelers Championship and tells the world what has been decided. The players most at risk, the ones sitting between 91st and 130th on the points list right now, this week at the Memorial Tournament, are watching that date with a very specific kind of dread. Not the dread of losing a tournament, the dread of finding out the sport they built their life around has reclassified them. Jack Nicklaus said the bunching is already a problem. Justin Thomas said it is tough and not how I would prefer to draw it up. And the man who was supposed to be the player's voice in the room stepped away in March. If you want the full inside story when Rolapp steps up to that podium on June 22nd, subscribe, because what happens in that boardroom in the next 18 days will determine careers. This story is not over.